It's not all gold, but we can go up and show them all that.
Even the quarters are a good lesson.
I rolled those pieces up a plank and put them on my trailer.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Did you get all the white ash too?
No, it's just maple.
Maple. I took down a big maple tree over by his garage.
That was probably what I got.
Yeah.
She needs to start the video.
Okay. We're going to call the meeting back to order.
She needs to start the video. She's close.
Doesn't look like the owls on it.
She's close.
So,
I can't.
the owl went to sleep.
Definitely should. We can turn that on here.
What's code?
Show me a sign. We should have the Jeopardy music playing.
I was upside down.
Quick, read that for me.
Oh,
Just the bottom row. Why is it called owls? Because we look like owls?
is it?
It's
It's
different.
got big eyes.
That bottom row is for salesmen who read everything upside down.
More labor. Yeah. Just got Chris training, he's taking the day off.
We had some dental
Oh, right.
that had to be.
Is this the same Brienne we used to have? Read?
She's off on big. Cute little fellow, east. A cute little fellow, named East,
East?
Easton.
Oh, Easton, okay.
Chambers now. Like Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, Eastwood.
Crack the whipboard.
We're okay?
No, this is, yeah, when we get going.
I'll be ready.
Put the hammer down, eh?
Tried, somebody wanted to be over here at 11.
She made you with
Good luck.
Yeah. I will not ask any questions.
That's good.
I'll just give me your thoughts. You can go on.
I start the meeting now, me too. I'm not gonna say.
One second, we got 10 voting issues.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna check for sound.
There
There's sound, I'll be back. I'm not sure about sound.
We should.
I think she wants us to talk so she can tell whether or not she can hear us.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Okay, welcome back. We have a resolution to move out of session.
Moved by Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor McDonald, resolved that council rise from committee of the whole closed session. And that procedural bylaw 2013-0020 be waived and the word report. There's a resolution that comes after that.
Oh. Okay, I guess there's gonna be a resolution on part of the discussion. Closed session about OHT. Fair enough? Oh, sorry. All in favor of the resolution? Carry.
Moved by Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that the warden, in consultation with the warden of Lennox and Addington, schedule a joint council meeting of the councils of the County of Frontenac and the County of Lennox and Addington early in September 2021.
All in favor? Carry. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Rebel, seconded by Councillor Martin, resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 16th, 2021 be adopted.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor Higgins, seconded by Deputy Warden Doyle, resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held June 23rd, 2021 be adopted.
Comments? All in favor? Carried. Move into committee of the whole.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Higgs, that council adjourn and meet as the committee of the whole with the deputy warden in the chair.
All in favor? Carried.
First up, we have our CAO, Kelly Pender, who's going to go through his presentation to show that he's earning his keep.
No comment. Good morning and thank you, Deputy Warden. I'm here to present our July CAO report, which encompasses the activities of the CAO department and some high-level looks at some of our regular staff workings. And as usual, I may touch on one or two items on each slide, but if there are any questions or comments, we'll either answer them today or get back to you as soon as possible. So beginning with the CAO schedule, a busy couple of months or months since we've been working. In particular, been working very hard with both AMO and Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus on our long-term care response to the Long-Term Care Commission, and working with the Wardens Caucus on our advocacy work for the AMO conference coming up, which was reviewed by the AMO board on Friday and approved for presentation to AMO and the multi-ministers in August. We had the Wardens Caucus meeting on Friday, a number of issues, including discussions about the EORN GIG project and the future of the EORN GIG project. And we expect that there will be some announcements and public circulations soon, but we've also met with the members of the Wardens Caucus and Mayor's Caucus and all of the heads of council of Eastern Ontario to provide a briefing. And EORN continues to advocate for a regional approach, but it appears that we may be having a number of smaller projects rather than one large project. So. On May 21st, the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility released the new AODA report. I'd encourage you to have a look at that. Municipalities are at the forefront in compliance with the AODA, including our website, all of our design decisions with respect to, for example, the Office of Administration project will all be in compliance, as well as the KMP trail. There are a number of seniors grants available to municipalities. So if your municipality runs a community hall or has a seniors group, there are grants available until July the 15th, apply through the transfer payments. So I guess we missed that deadline, between $1,000 and $25,000. Temporary residence and permanent residence pathway program offers eligible foreign workers in Canada and recent graduates a faster way to permanent residency. And the reason why I put this one in here is because it is one of the tools we were looking at with both AMO and the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus to get more healthcare workers, particularly PSWs, although at this point we're also running short of nursing staff. So the province is being very aggressive in terms of announcements of new homes. Just in our area, for example, the John M. Parrott Center in Napanee, a 160 bed facility. They've made an announcement that there will be another 160 bed facility across the way. And at this point, County of Lennox and Addington is having staffing difficulties. So we need to find new and innovative ways, and we appreciate the federal government coming forward with the temporary resident to permanent resident program, which will be able to use to attract healthcare workers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Gordon?
The reality is, though, is there a way to, you don't want them to streamline these people either, though, without the proper education or proper tools. However, if they're already short now, I have a sister-in-law that would work 365 days a year, and she's in a private one even. And so if everybody is short, I just don't know where this magic bullet is going to come from that we think all of a sudden they're here and we've graduated them all now in a month.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
that's
just not realistic.
They fast-tracked the PSW program. The difficulty is that in long-term care, the average PSW in long-term care is, as per our Wardens Caucus report, is about 24 months. So people aren't lasting in the system either. So there's a number of different issues, and certainly the 4 hours of care will help that, but if you don't have the staff to do it, So a lot of chicken and egg stuff going on for sure.
Do you know how many people in training in the colleges across Ontario?
I've heard the numbers, but I
It's
can't
quite,
say, yeah.
quite an increase
It was
over year
quite
over
a-
year, isn't it?
So on the communications front, small increase in our audience engagement over May and June across all the media channels for the county. We generally expect to begin to see a seasonal decline in the summer as people decide that it's more fun on the dock than it is reading social media on their couch, and beginning to log off for the nicer weather. By far the most popular measured among the audience in June was a photo of Frontenac paramedic Sean and KFLNA nurse Peter making house calls to the community to distribute COVID vaccines to people who can't safely attend in-person clinics. So a big shout out to the paramedics and all of the community groups that have put on vaccination clinics. I know Councillor Smith was at one this week. And how many did you do? 500?
511 people. And I walked 15 kilometers.
Yes.
Huge.
So it is a huge community effort, and the residents of KFLMA are to be congratulated because we are one of the leaders in Ontario in terms of vaccination.
Yes,
Sir, through you, Deputy Warden Kelly, what impact in actual fact are the mobile units having? Do they keep track of numbers, and do we know what the impact might be? Thank you.
Yes, we do, and we have to report on that. So we'll probably have a report in September because at that point we'll be fully 1 quarter in. So we'll bring a report to you in September with the numbers of the community paramedics. But we have to report that to the province as well. So. The annual butterfly release ceremony, June 8th or June 9th at Fairmount was a big success, and huge thank you to Katie Johnson and her staff.
where did you find the butterflies at that time of the year? They were just,
They were in an envelope and then they got released.
oh,
Gypsy moth.
They're all gypsy moths.
Yeah,
oh.
You've got lots of
then we took them to Platinum.
No.
So even though it wasn't possible to host a large number of guests, normally we use the courtyard and invite families as well. But we did manage to do it through Facebook. Katie and her staff, supported by Chris Waters on IT, and the rest of the IT team did a great job of making it work through some drizzle and COVID and everything else. So thank you all around. Of course, there we go. Planning department update, South Frontenac is beginning virtual open houses for their new official plan in August. If you have interest in that. Central Frontenac's new official plan was adopted by Township Council on July the 13th. And we're looking at presenting a final draft of the OP to County Council in September, subject to any comments received and any further work that may be required. North Frontenac had an Ontario Lands Tribunal hearing, proposed pool and minor variance on 509, and the proposed canon severance on Shambamika Lake. No dates for the hearing have been scheduled at this point, but
Yes, Warden.
When you say that the Central Frontenac's official plan will come to county council, is that, why would that happen? Does South Frontenac, when they get theirs done, have to do the same thing?
correct. So
Okay,
this council,
still is the approval authority.
We replaced the province.
Okay, thank
but
you.
the lower tier does all of the work. And in the case of Central Frontenac,
And pays all the bills.
yes. In the case of Central Frontenac,
It's kind of the same with subdivisions.
yes, similar. And on Frontenac Islands, looking at development charges and the communal services project, we've completed a first draft of the business case study, awaiting some input from legal, and then we'll have our final communal services governance committee meeting, and Joel will work with the chair on that as soon as we get the final feedback on the legal stuff, and then that will go back to.
Yes, go ahead, Warden.
I have a comment on the development charges. I have some developers in South Frontenac that say they're just gonna develop in stone mills now. There's no development charges. And I said, how does that benefit you as a builder? Well, it doesn't. Other than it's simple, it's quick, and it's $4,000 for all my permits. I said, well, does it make any difference when you're building a house for somebody else? No. I said, well, then why would any municipality leave that money on the table? It makes absolutely no sense to me. I said, you better explain it also to the person that's building the house in Stone Mills, that his taxes are probably 3 times more than what they are in another municipality, because they have no way of getting revenue. So I don't know, we've been in conferences where they've had this discussion, and they just tell absolutely everybody, charge what you're supposed to charge. I just don't get how people don't do it yet.
Me neither, but how many in Ontario don't have development charges? Just a handful, isn't it?
Joe can get you the final numbers.
Oh, you know? Oh,
Yeah,
We
we
are,
talked about it.
oh, you're kidding? Oh,
Ours is 20,000 and we can't stop building.
yeah.
may I speak?
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Our charges are related to the cost of the township, so it's revenue neutral. That's the way we do it. Like when you come in for a consultation, we charge you for that, like rather than a flat fee development charge.
But development charges ensure that development pays for development
Yeah,
that existing residents don't, so.
So on that note, when we build a new fire hall, we take a whole chunk of the development to pay for it.
Just to be fair, we don't have any major development in North Frontenac at this point in time. It's probably why.
But each one-off house adds up.
Yeah, that's just
Anyway.
goes through the building permit.
Didn't mean to stir the pot, but it just makes no sense to me, and I don't know, I mean, the developer's not paying it.
Like, we had a good chunk saved up to help us buy a new grader because the development justified that we needed it. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm not telling them.
Wish Joe was here because you're probably not going to be able to answer this, but those land hearings, land tribunal hearings, I know one of them is a frivolous comment based on speculation versus fact, and this is going to cost the township money. Is there anything in the planning department's preview to review how land tribunals come to the province? I'd like, do we have an opportunity to address a concern like that costs not just North Frontenac, but I'm sure other municipalities money?
The Planning Act actually, and Joe can probably give your council some advice, or Sonia, but the Planning Act includes the terms frivolous and vexatious, but the bar is very, very high. So, and the onus is on the municipality to prove that it's frivolous and vexatious.
So you have to go through the tribunal to do that. Okay.
And that's usually what pre-hearings are for, and your lawyer can argue that.
And Jeanette has told me that Joe is on the line if anybody does have a specific.
So can I, Joe, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah. Joe, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Or Ken?
For some reason, I'm not allowed to put my face on the screen here.
Well, we can picture you mentally.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize. It won't let me. I can tell you that the new tribunal, and it's the province created, they brought in 3 different tribunals, I'm going to say 3 or 4 months ago with new legislation. And as part of that, they've added wording. So Kelly has mentioned frivolous and vexatious, and it usually is a high bar, but they've added wording that makes it more a lower bar, I guess is the right way to put it. That so to Councillor Hagan's point on the one appeal in North Frontenac, it will be easier for the township to make the case that this appeal is essentially nonsense. There's less restrictions put on the municipality to make that case. So I'm expecting that the solicitor for North will use that new wording to challenge this appeal.
Yes, I can.
One last question, Joel. In that case, would it be up to the person that's applying for a hearing if he loses to pay for the cost of the township?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Assuming that it's a frivolous comment and the tribunal agrees, is there an opportunity for the appellant to put this in front of the land tribunal to recover our costs through the appellant?
Yes, the solicitor, so in the case of the municipality, because you've had to retain a solicitor, the solicitor can ask the tribunal member at that point to ask for costs to pay for whatever it did cost to prepare for the tribunal, and the member can make a decision right then.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Just looking at our planning numbers for the month of June, and again, we're strong growth in north and central, and still applications on the islands as well, and we're 60% or 50% of the way through the year, and we're at 73% of the applications. So we're ahead of 2020, which was a record year. And just an HR update, we are entering into negotiations with OPSU, just waiting for dates. That's our paramedic union, and with QB 109, our marine services. So Barb and her staff are busy collecting comparator data, as well as looking at various clauses that we'll be bringing to the table. And as of July the 13th, we completed 301 competitions, which was an entire year 2 years ago. So we continue to have a lot of hiring going on that keeps our HR staff busy. And a big welcome to Dakota Thompson, who is our new manager of marine services, who will begin on July the 26th, so next week. Dakota comes to us from the Coast Guard and brings a wealth of experience, and has been in charge of a number of craft on the Great Lakes, and certainly brings enthusiasm to the job as well.
Very good. Any more questions? Yes, Warden.
On the staff for Fairmount Home and those things, is the pay competitive enough that people are okay with one full-time job, or do they still all have to somehow keep taking part-time jobs to make this up? I know the province said they weren't going to do that. They haven't stopped it, obviously, so I don't know. How does that work, that somebody can't take a job here and make a very decent pay and not have to look somewhere else?
So the commission suggested that it be 70% full-time, 30% part-time is the target. Okay, we're not close to that. So there's two parts to the issue. Some people don't want to work full-time. So for example, we have PT6s who work 6 shifts in a 14-day period, and that suits their lifestyle.
Yeah. And
we've got others that want to work full-time, and those full-time lines come up a bit on those.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Higgs?
Yes, what is the responsibilities of this new Dakota, manager of marine services, and where is he going to be placed, and what's his job?
Dakota will report to Rob Dillabaugh. So Rob was part of the
Yeah.
interview process. Report to Rob Dillabaugh, responsible for the day-to-day operation of the Howe Island County Fair, and he'll be situated in the trailer at the fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just the one ferry doesn't have any responsibilities for anything else?
Correct. Now, Rob has responsibility for all 3 ferries.
Yeah.
So he coordinates between them. So for example, met with Rob last Thursday, and he's looked at all of the contracts between the 2 municipalities, determined which one had the best deal, and we're migrating to the best deal so that we can all save money.
Okay.
So Rob will perform that overall coordination.
Thank you.
And I understand Rob's involved in the budget for 2022.
You presented the draft budget to me and Phil last Thursday.
Yeah,
You're doing a good job.
thank you. Anything else before we move on? Well, thank you very much, sir, for the excellent and crisp report. And I don't think there's any unfinished business today, so we'll move on to recommended reports from the CAO. And the first one's a resolution to support the agreement for RTO 9.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Rebel, be excuse me, be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac receive planning and economic development authorization to enter into an agreement with Regional Tourism Organization 9 in order to provide support to Open Farms Report, and further that County Council authorize the warden and clerk to enter into an agreement with Regional Tourism Organization 9, RTO 9, to provide staff support to the 2021 Open Farms event.
Any questions? Yes, Councillor Hay.
Yes, I'd like to know why we need to have a third party help us out with open farms. Over the last couple of years, they've been quite a success. We seem to be promoting from within, the businesses themselves are promoting and have been successful for the last 2 years, huge success actually. That's my question is, why do we need to have RTO?
I think it's the money they provide, but do we have Allison's on the screen? Allison, you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thanks for the question and appreciate it for sure. This is a pretty complex year for open farms. Not only are we trying to make it happen as a hybrid event, so both virtually and in person, but for the in-person components, we're of course trying to ensure that we align with all the public health requirements, which are continually changing, and I expect will change probably a few times between now and September. So sort of a new level of complexity, and we've also increased our partnerships too. So we're working with Tourism Houston and South Frontenac Township, as you know, and so those collaborations are fantastic and will really, I think, enhance the event, but it also adds some complexity. We've also got an increased interest from farms and increased programming in terms of how they can participate this year. So just in terms of administratively ensuring the event goes off without a hitch on the back end, having somebody to help me manage all of that is really, really helpful. And just particularly about the person that we're contracting here through Regional Tourism Organization 9. And I shouldn't use the word contracting. The person we're getting to help us has huge experience in event planning, comes to us with some experience in the Brockville Tall Ships Festival and lots of other things. So the kind of help that this person is able to provide is really, really valuable. So that's why we want the help, and this particular arrangement with RTO 9 is going to be extremely valuable for me, especially, and the event.
Okay, thank you. When I was thinking about this question, I was trying to identify whether or not it was within budget. So just as a comment, I tried to go online to get the budget because I for some reason didn't have a copy on my hard drive, but I couldn't find it. And I also noticed that there's no 2019 or 2020 financial statements listed on the website. So I just want to bring that to the attention of staff. It's not available to the public.
Thank you. Any more questions before I call the vote? All in favor? And everybody's in agreement. The next one is planning economic development for the Frontenac Trail.
Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Warden Vanderwall, be it resolved that the County Council received the draft Frontenac KMP Trail Management Plan dated July 2021, and further that the draft plan be posted online on Engage Frontenac for 30 days to allow for public feedback and review, and further that subject to public comment, the plan be brought back to Council for final approval in the third quarter of 2021.
Councillor Ravel.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. So there were a few items that come to mind having gone through the report. And I note specifically that there are several places where the start of the ATV use is at Bell Rock Road, and that has not been approved by council at this point. So I think it's premature to have that specifically in the draft plan. So I don't know how to handle that. I'd like to see it removed or modified at least before that draft plan comes back to us.
Perhaps change that to Craig Road and in brackets or something temporarily in trial for down the Bell Rock Road. I don't know.
Joe's on.
Joe, you're there. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, we
Yes.
got you. Oh, good.
Through you, Deputy Warden, to Councillor Ravel. Yes, so we're asking council today just to receive this. It is a draft plan, and thank you for bringing that Bell Rock Road item to our attention. We can make those changes after we post it online. We will be posting it online through the Bang to Table process, and Alison Vandervelde and our team have already got that put together. I'd also like to advise council that Mr. Steve Keeley is with us today. Mr. Keeley is a former Public Works Manager. He's a resident of South Frontenac. He has got experience on trail management and working with myself and Richard Allen and with Kelly. He's the main author of the master plan, and he'll be working with us in the future as well. But really, the master plan is a blueprint. After almost 10 years of the build, we're at a point now where we want to lay out the groundwork for what the trail should look like going forward, what our liabilities are, trail signage down to that level of detail, so that in the future, it doesn't matter who's actually managing the trail. The direction of council has been made in improving this plan, hopefully at the third quarter of this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Bill and then Fran.
Yeah, yes, through you, Deputy Warden. Under 6.4 of the management plan, it's restricting non-recreational motorized vehicle access, and it says at the end of it, further consideration to allow access to private properties. And it says camps, cottages, and desirable waterfront location is an immediate concern. I would just like to put my 5 cents worth in that it's not going to be absolutely necessary to allow vehicular traffic. I can speak for north of Highway 7 and going further north, because there are so many properties there that this trail actually goes through. It divides it in half, that without access to motorized vehicles, you will get a great uprising of people objecting to the trail as a commodity. So I would hope that we would be able to reach some agreement where occasional use by vehicular traffic, trucks, four-wheel drives or whatever, would be accommodated in some form, so that we wouldn't be ending up with confrontation along the trail, as has already happened, where the trail wardens tried to kick a guy off that was driving a tractor to get to one side of his own property. So please keep that in mind when we're bringing forth the next copy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Fran?
I do know that the Verona, the Bell Rock Trail through Verona has been an issue, but I think we have to always keep in mind that we have county property there to do a trailhead. And that's where people park their vehicles, unload their ATVs and get on the trail. So unless we're going to provide an alternate way of getting through Verona, I think we need to take a look at the work that's been done. And I know the Verona ATV Club has been very much on top of putting chloride down, picking up garbage, and actually paying attention to people speeding along through there and dealing with them. So I don't think we should take it out, but I think at some point we need to make a decision what we're going to do with that trailhead spot that we have. We're either going to use it or we should lose it.
Yes.
I would like to comment, there actually is an alternative, even by using the trailhead. I mean, we do have public transportation on our roads with ATVs. That's a bylaw that's passed. So, I mean, there is a way to get around it. However, I do want to say, as a municipality, we have looked now at a master plan for Verona, because we're going to do housing, we're going to do something. So we're also looking at how we could maybe accommodate the trail a little better, to see if there's opportunities that maybe the ATVs can still go. The comment I do want to make on the trailhead is, though, we did apply for funding and we did get it to spend on that trailhead. And it is hugely popular. I mean, I have seen the parking lot full.
But is that for car parking?
No,
or is
no,
that for
no,
using
no.
The trail.
For trails, for people with trailers unloading. So, I mean, both. I'm not saying that there's lots of people on bikes, everything else, but it is used a lot. So, I mean, we have to, we would like to see if there's a compromise somehow, but those discussions will happen too.
If it's overloaded, maybe we need two and open up at that
It's not
same road.
overloaded yet, I wouldn't get that carried away.
Alan?
Thank you, Deputy Warden. So I'm content that the matter not be dealt with today, but it will be dealt with at some point in time before it's finally dealt with by council.
And Councillor Higgins?
Yes, I have about 4 or 5 comments. The first one, under trailheads, it says the county has allocated up to 100K for trailhead development. When I was reading this report, I was thinking we have a beautiful trailhead already in Opa up in our area. I was wondering if that 100K could be used to help North Frontenac build a trail from that Opa over to the KMP trail. I haven't discussed this with my own council yet. I just thought of it when I was reading this report. So, although it says trailheads, it's specific to trailheads. Is there an opportunity, Joe, to be able to use that money to develop a trail versus developing another trailhead?
Joe, are you there?
Yes, through you, Warden, to Councillor Higgins. So we're working on our plan as we head further north, and I think that that's something we can talk about when we get down to more details.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I keep seeing in a bunch of different reports over the year that we're getting unexpected costs for the infrastructure. I think this council needs to, at some point over the next year, review our trail, maybe have passes for motorized vehicles to help with infrastructure costs. The way I've seen the reports, I don't think we can keep up with it under taxation. So that's just a comment for council to consider. So Joe, you mentioned we're receiving this for a report, but there's a couple items that I want to bring up. This under trail maintenance records, it says the county will at a minimum review the log once per year. I think we should be doing that at least once a quarter if we're going to get a third party to do that. The other comment I had was, is it possible, I know the Verona ATV Club is quite helpful in helping with trail monitoring. And then we have, I'm just wondering if for trail maintenance and monitoring, whether we could maybe set up something with EOTA and Verona ATV Club to work together to maybe help us out. I know that EOTA is doing wonderfully at getting some government grants. I believe, Bill, maybe you know, was it 40 million to take up this year? 4 million?
I
4 million.
think
40?
No, 2.4, wasn't it?
2.5 million. And so that she's quite successful at getting money. So, and again, there's something to consider when we're looking at management plans, not looking for an answer today, just input. Yeah, I just have one more. No, I'm done. Thanks.
Councillor Martin, you have the floor.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, my comment is that we already have 2 ATV clubs involved in North Frontenac, like Ottawa Valley ATV Club is an example. And they're willing to, from what I understand, it'll just take a meeting, they're willing to assist. Because Verona can only go so far north. I mean, we're talking about 90 kilometers of trail altogether. That's a long way for an ATV club to try to maintain. So perhaps as a management plan, we should be looking at one of these other clubs to take over responsibilities, for instance, through North Frontenac up to Lanark, or maybe the club up in Lanark to come down as far as Highway 7 or something. I don't think it's, I don't think we can expect the Verona people to look after that volume of trail. It just, I don't think it's a practical thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Just to add to that, Central Frontenac has just worked with EOTA and the Verona Club, ATV Club, to have a partnership agreement that the East-West Trail, the 30 kilometers through Central Frontenac, will have a joint committee that will work with EOTA and recognizing each other's passes and cooperating in doing some maintenance work and contribution of funds. And part of the grant money that Cindy was able to get will be put on the east-west trail, the section in Central Frontenac, which is in really desperate need of repair here and there. So we are working together and the committee is just getting established. So terms of reference are being set up and we'll see how it goes, but hopefully it will see the improvement of the trail over the next year to 2 years.
Martin Vanderwall.
I know we always have the comments about the maintenance and all that there, but we've never got it, actually the trail done yet either. So it's hard to actually compare apples to apples. But I think at some point, I agree with Councillor Higgins saying there needs to be a plan of what the contribution be that this thing is going to be maintained. Or eventually, if you don't do that, the number is going to keep jumping all over the place and it's probably going to end up back in the lap of a municipality. Which I know that other trails in our municipality have been crying somewhat hardships and they're looking for help too. And I don't want to inherit all these trails either. However, we need a concrete plan that says contribution X will maintain this trail every year for whatever. And I think that's helpful too. And of course, if you can get volunteers and groups that help, it obviously makes a difference.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
Just one last comment, and that is, I think down the road, we need to look at users pay. Initially, when we first started with these trails, we thought, oh, it would just be the locals that would use it. Boy, were we, the users of these trails come from far and wide. And I think it is time that we take a look at that, and probably in the near future, sooner than later.
Yes, and that was discussed way back when. I know Mayor Davison was really keen on doing that when he was on council. Yeah. So, anything else, Councillor Higgins?
Can I make a motion that we review this at the next budget?
You can. Do we have a seconder for that? Has Councillor Martin second? Pardon me? Yes, go ahead.
So the intent is that this gets published for 30 days, comments come back in September, and that becomes incorporated into the budget. So what the report does in one of the appendix is itemize how much it costs per kilometer. So that will be the figure that we'll use going forward. So yes, you can get volunteer labor to help spread the calcium, but you've still got to buy the calcium, you've still got to buy the stone dust and whatnot. So those numbers, this report, and the report says that they'll be updated on a regular basis as part of the budget process. So
Are you saying this proposed motion is redundant because it's already?
Yes, that's not needed.
correct.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I could say it with more words.
I wanted to jump to the end here. If there's no more, I got a couple comments. And I did speak to Joe about this earlier, but throughout the report on pages 41 of 128, 67, and 84, there's comments about the Wolf Island connection will be to Horns Ferry. And that, I think, is a misunderstanding. All we've ever talked about locally is the Wolf Island Canal, because that was an integral part of the beginning, and because they were transferring goods from Europe through New York City and then by rail car to Cape Vincent, New York, offloaded onto Kingston through the Wolf Island Canal, loaded on the track, go far north, and then on the way back, those cars that were empty were bringing lumber and all sorts of other things back that went the reverse way back to Europe. So that's what all we've ever talked about. I know where this discussion of the bicycle trail got in place, and that was years ago. And maybe 10 years ago, we had a committee working with Tourism Kingston, Kedco, Rob Carnegie was there, Jeff Garrod, and we had the mayor of Cape Vincent, New York, and the surrounding equivalent to our warden for the district, and we met regularly, and we come up with this idea to have a promotion of bicycles going across there. Well, it went on for a few years. The ferry was over capacity, so we were reluctant to promote cars, but we were promoting bicycles and motorcycles. So at that point, locally, we looked at widening the road that's a 10 kilometer from the ferry going into Marysville to the Horns Ferry. And at that point, it would be something like $10 million just to widen the road. Basically, you had to move the ditches back about 3 meters on each side from where they are now, then rebuild the whole road base. So it was going to be expensive. So we discounted that. At the same time, we had the public who were engaged in this discussion, and they put up a red flag and said, we got enough bicycles here now. We don't want to promote any more bicycles. So the whole thing went apart. So we passed a resolution earlier this year reminding the county that our only option that we supported was the canal. So what I'm suggesting when this goes on the website for review, Joe, is that we change those to that refer to the connection using the bicycle trail from Marysville to Horns Ferry to the original plan of the Wolf Island Canal. Thank you. Any other questions before we?
Dennis, I have a question.
Yes.
How can we do how can we do a trail along the canal? You mean on the,
No,
the
no,
side
well,
of
what
the
we
canal?
had further talked about, it would be a water trail,
oh, okay.
and it would be kayaks and canoes is what we promote. Maybe small motorized vehicles, but we didn't get that far, but we did a lot of talk about it. We met with quite a few people on trying to secure some outside funding as well. And we have had some donations. We already have 100,000 or so that has been donated to help us kickstart that. But it's a big project, not as big as the bicycle trail, but it's a significant project. Any other questions before we call the vote? Okay, I'll call the vote then. All in favor? Okay, looks like it's unanimous.
Get balloon tires on your bicycle, put them in the water.
Well, they do have bicycles like that. I've seen them. Yeah. Okay, we're going on. I think we got, we finished the trail. What's the next one, Jeanette?
Land acquisition.
Land acquisition for the KNP Trail.
Moved by Councillor Higgins, seconded by Councillor Smith, whereas the Council of the County of Frontenac approved motion 16118 at their regular meeting on September 19th, 2018. And whereas the above referenced motion provided staff with authorization to secure financing to support trail construction activities, be it resolved that staff be authorized to use the approved financing of $250,000 to purchase lands and for related land acquisition costs connected to the development of Phase 6 of the KNP Trail.
Do we have any questions on that? No? All in favor then? Carried. Information report from CAO, Corporate Services. Any questions on any of those? There's some others in there. Having seen none, I guess we can move right along to report from the liaison appointees, but I know we had Jerry's on line from the Fairmount Home. Did anybody have any questions for? I don't think we're giving the formal reports anymore.
No. Just a comment.
Yeah, yes, Mark.
My comment is we have to thank Susan Brandt again for all her input.
Yes, it looked like it was her fingers all over that.
It was, yes.
Only her fingers.
You're too honest, Jerry.
I was
There was
doing
a
good
comment
report.
how thorough Jerry is, must be that way on this council, but I guess you can be if someone else is doing the work.
Ooh.
And there's
That was
no,
nasty, you know?
It was, wasn't it? What goes around comes around.
Yes.
I have lots of people make me look good too, Jerry.
Well, if there's nothing else, I should just say that let's all promote getting people to get their jabs over the next couple of weeks, because we're pretty close to getting 80% fully vaccinated in the next few weeks. So we would like to get it up to 90. So we still got a ways to go.
That's first, isn't it? Not fully.
Right. We want to get up to 90 fully vaccinated, but
I thought it was 75.
well, that's
that's what,
that's just a medium point to get to before you start opening up certain things. But to get out of this with all the variants, we do want it up around 90. And I think with some of the dangerous variants coming, some people are now thinking over 90. And Dr. Moore provincially announced yesterday that he is formally changing the wish to get to 80 to get to 90. So I think as time goes on, the world will probably go that way as well.
He said this morning there was 2 million people unvaccinated.
That's right, yeah, so in Ontario, so we still got a ways to go. And some of those are the resistant ones that if we could all gently try to counsel them to do it, maybe we'll get to the 90 or a bit of help.
So give your phone number to my son.
Yeah,
You can deal with it.
can somebody pull my son too?
That 2 million is 18 and over? Or all
That's,
over?
that's 12 and,
12
12 and over, and it looks like it's gonna be September, October before we get approval to do the under 12s. But they're working very diligently trying to get that through.
And at this rate, kids will be wearing masks when they go back in September. If we don't bring those numbers up.
Yes, we don't bring them up, yeah. And just because we're not gonna meet next month, we hope to have a new MOH hired by the time of our next meeting here. We've got our interviews scheduled for early August, and we've got some very viable candidates, so.
Was that your report?
That's my
I didn't
report.
see it on there.
No, but I just thought that I had to.
Jerry's been diligent.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to report on community development.
Let's get a motion.
We have a motion? Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Rebel, seconded by Councillor Higgs, that the report received from the Community Development Advisory Committee be received and adopted. And there are 2 items under that report: the 2020 annual business survey results and the film and television in front.
Yes,
Just wondering if under item 2021-054, can we add that we send this resolution to Kinga Surma, the MP, and Marion Monsef, the MPP, to help support EOW or EORN on the gigabit broadband project?
that's good. I'm okay with that. Is everybody else?
Sure.
Sure. I think that is a friendly amendment, right, Jeanette?
It should have a second.
Oh, okay, well,
I'll
move,
second.
and Councillor Rebel, I think, has his hand up first. And we'll, any questions on that before I call the vote on the addition of the names? All in favor? Okay, that's passed. Now, any more on the original motion before I call it? Original motion, all in favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Martin, that council revert from committee of the whole council to council.
All in favor? Carried.
Moved by Deputy Warden Doyle, seconded by Councillor Higgins, that the report of the committee of the whole council be adopted and that the necessary actions or bylaws be enacted.
Any comments? All in favor? Carried. No notices of motion, communications, any questions? Sorry for whoever had to type them all out. Any other business? Any public questions? Bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor McDonald, resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce bylaws B and C that have been circulated to all members of county council, and that bylaws B and C be read a first and second time.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor Higgs, seconded by Councillor McDonald, resolved that bylaws A through C be read a third time, signed, sealed, and finally passed.
All in favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the meeting hereby adjourn at 10:36 a.m.
Anyone opposed? All in favor? Carried.
The third one.
I can't leave yet.
You're stuck, are you?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, have a good summer break, everyone.